Complementary Basic Education, CBE for short, is an accelerated learning program that teaches literacy and numeracy in the local language to out-of-school children between the ages of 8 and 14 years. We're in northern Ghana, and I want you to meet Mariam and her friend Zuleha. She's 18 years old and proud to be one of the few girls in her community who've made it to secondary school.
At the age of 13, I was staying with my grandmother and her husband and playing around in the community and also helping them on the farm.
In Mariam's community and many others in northern Ghana, parents at times give away one of their children to look after aging grandparents or younger siblings. Their education and prospects are usually curtailed.
It got to a time my father came to her and told her how my brothers told him about the CBE class A program which was organized in the community. So that time I developed interest in the classes, but I was a visitor by then. I would just go to the classes and be looking through the window how the facilitator was going through. So the facilitator too knew I had some interest in the classes. So later I was replaced when one of the learners dropped out. So my grandmother didn't accept it. He needed me to be around the house to take care of her, to fetch water, wash bowls for her, and also other household activities. But I wept bitterly until she gave me the request to join the classes. So after 9 months of the CBE class, I was sent to class 6, that is USAID Primary A. I then continued to USAID Junior High School. From there, I got an admission into Northern School of Business, where I am currently a student.
Now, meet Abu Bakari. He is 16 and lives in Nakbaili. He does not go to school, but helps his father, Abdul Rahman, on their 3-acre yam farm.
Dalisha din cheka Abubakar ma dalisha din cheka tutu unde yuna ben chen ma dalir ma me kane din cheka cheko ka ta sonda ma ne do da damuna ma tun kulshiya ma tin ya bin yan malaka ke ba kan le wuhuro mpati kan ka o de obadi gan zashi ma.
For poor households, the value of education is always in competition with other challenges they have in their community. Many households were also competing with their own livelihood challenges, and sometimes households that have many children found that it's difficult to send all of them to school.
We have in northern Ghana sometimes between 12 children in a compound because we have polygamous families living in northern Ghana. Not all those children can go to school. Most farmers, when you look at the qualitative research, tell you that I can send 50% of my children to school, but the other 50% have to assist me on the farm. So you see a lot of cowboys, you see a lot of kids working with the farm animals, as well as just agricultural needs. We're still a very subsistence agricultural context in which the labor of the household is a make or break situation for the family. It's food insecure. They're also defined as extreme poverty zones. So there's not a lot of cash to support children even when they do go to school.
Amina and her friend are another example of girls living not with parents, but with relatives. But they have been fortunate to have escaped an uncertain future. They are CBE graduates, now in senior high school.
Women who don't go to school in our community, they used to go to farm. And Then some of them used to go to Accra for career because there's no any job for them.
Orbe changla la shukruma ngoro gbabi ko mo ara orbe bi ko mo ara ama ngoro be kaya yo.
In northern region, mostly it is the women who take care of the children. So if the woman is not able to provide adequate food as expected to reach all the children, many of them have to fend for themselves, either going to farm in a nearby community to get food to eat, or migrate down south, or do any other thing that economically will provide survival for them. And this makes it difficult for children to juggle between looking for food and accessing education.
Children as early ages of 14, 15 years are given up to marriage. That is one area that is hindering education in the Pusga district.
We have areas whereby children have to travel maybe around 5 kilometers to school. It's a factor.
We did CBE in a village in Afram Plains called Udidiada. The nearest primary school is 6 kilometers away. So how do young children as young as 6 years commute 6 kilometers to school at a place called Agodeke or somewhere and commute about 12 kilometers a day? So if you're a parent there, you will not be enthused about sending your children to school.
The Complementary Basic Education Programme started as a functional literacy intervention by a community-based organization in Northern Region called School for Life.
It didn't initially start as a government program. It started as an initiative that was a joint initiative between the communities and NGOs. So it's a much more of a community-driven initiative supported by NGOs.
Through Professor V.R. Hassan, a friendship association between towns in Northern Region and Danish towns was formed.
The Danes who had the friendship here saw that most of our children were not in school. So they started to query what was happening. And they got answers like, oh, this child has been given to me to train, so I can't send the child to school. I have to train the girl to be able to grow up to be a good housewife. I have to train the boy to be a good farmer. So they saw that if this trend continued, it would mean that most of our children would go without education. During those discussions, it came out that they should set up a form of education which will be given to those children who are above school going age and are doing these jobs at home, to be able to have 3 hours of learning in their mother tongue, how to read and write, and how to do simple calculation.
Following an impact assessment and research into complementary education systems, the School for Life model became a Ghana education service program called Complementary Basic Education.
You have to think about the way in which you provide education for children who have previously had access, had dropped out, or who had never been to school. The education system as we have it, the formal system, is not set up to respond to the educational needs of children who have previously been to school. So without complementary basic education, these children were actually consigned to a life without education.
Before the program started, we had estimated about 450,000 out of school children. And so the program initially targeted 200,000 kids.
Currently, the CBE program is in 5 regions. And these are Upper East, Upper West, Northern, Brangahafo, and Ashanti region.
We initially started with about 36 districts and then increased it to 47 districts in year 2. And as I speak with you, we have covered 50 districts across the country.
In over 4,000 communities across northern Ghana, after the day's chores, either farming or herding cattle, children rush to the CBE classes in their community to learn to read and write. The classes are organized in selected communities with enough out-of-school children to make up a class of 25 learners. 13 of those learners must be girls. The classes are flexible, starting from 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and for 3 hours, the learners are taught to read and write and to do simple numeracy.
A child is able to read and write within 9 months.
What we do in CBE is we accelerate that learning. Sometimes within a 4-month period, children are able to read using the phonetic and syllabic approaches to reading. They learn how to sound out their mother tongue in a very short time. And once they grasp that initial learning of how to read, they become very self-motivated.
When I was sent to primary 6, I could read and write perfectly by then. And the facilitator too took us through how to dress decently, good eating habits, because when I was not attending school, I didn't know how to eat well. When I just sit, I will eat and the food will be on the floor. And also I would just dress anyhow. But when I started it, I knew how to read and write and also how to dress and eat properly.
The curriculum materials that we have developed for the CBE program is a kind of a compressed form of the first 3 years of schooling. We have used the syllabuses of P1, P2, and P3, and then selected very important topics to make up the 9 months cycle.
All reading and writing materials are given free.
Tes bikane King Sakur.
It's very important to translate the materials into the local languages because, first and foremost, learning best takes place in a language that people understand. We know English is the official language, but that is not the home language of the people who benefit from CBE. And so it's very important that the materials are translated into the various mother tongues so that people can really benefit from the program. Because the mother tongue is very important. It is a language that they already understand. It's a language that their parents speak with them at home. And so if anything it is expressed in the local language, it eases understanding, and so learning becomes much easier, and then it becomes effective.
Sakula,
We understand that most families want their children to be in the CBE program because within the 9 months, the children can read the local language, which unfortunately most of our formal school systems are not able to support. And the research has shown that once the child is trained in the mother tongue and the child adopts the literacy and numeracy issues relating to his own language, transiting into the formal schools becomes quite exciting to the children.
Community members are given real responsibility for the success of the program through the local committee members, ensuring that they are invested in its success. These community members take turns to monitor the CBE classes.
The UK government has a long-standing partnership with Ghana on education. Investing in good teaching and supporting the poor and the marginalised children is at the heart of our approach. We've been engaged in complementary basic education for the last 10 years. We saw an opportunity to scale it up, to invest in capacity building of government and communities to reach more out-of-school children.
We had a target of 200,000 children initially, and when USAID realized the impact that the program was gaining, partnered with DFID, UKAID, to increase the targets. And now we have about 248,000 children we have enrolled, and out of this about 91% of them have graduated, and we have about 90% also transitioning into the formal school.
The high participation of girls ranging between 52 and 55% was also a plus, because it meant that we are not only achieving our gender parity ratio, we have saved quite a number of the girls from early marriages.
Complementary basic education was actually their lifeline in terms of giving them the basic skills they need and also enabling them to be part of the mainstream education system and to have the quality education that F-Cube originally intended.
This program was successful because these key elements, in terms of leadership, in terms of mechanisms for implementation, a framework for driving the processes, in terms of monitoring and evaluation of what is being implemented on a daily basis and how it is responding to key requirements, have been things that have contributed to the success of the program. Again, the funding arrangements that was put in place, sustained funding at the various levels has also accounted for that.
The CBE program provides value for money. It's about 25% of the total cost of providing education under the formal school system. And what the formal school system does in 3 years, the kids under the CBE program are able to do within 9 months. And their performance has been excellent.
Votkum is a farming community with no formal school infrastructure for a 6-kilometer radius. The community was so enthusiastic about the CBE school that came to them. They decided to build a modest classroom to house the learners. Their efforts and that of other communities is an example of the empowering effect that the CBE model has had on the development of underserved communities.
We started last year, and some of them have been transitioned to other schools. Others are in Danware, others are Songtaba, others they are in Zongnatenga. When we were teaching the children, we were under the tree. We called for a meeting, and the chief come out with his elders and so many people and the parents. So they come together and we decide that we have to get a structure because we can't be there when it is raining.
Kam se duo se kempa mal minusa ko se sampalo ka tina pu au bigo ne mana men go sa ka no pingas nam ne so bulam ka pu abuit kum ka tavat tikina e dogla tana e wala ka yanga pa sakula ka telen duwe ye yirugo safa tana song bibil tana song yol ko binunu.
Because of the motivation they have from CBE, they've actually started a community school themselves. They are class 1 and class 2 now.
I arrived during the election campaign of 2016, and I was swamped by telephone calls from ministers, members of parliament, MPs, who had CBE in their districts, in their constituencies, and they all wanted to know if it was going to continue. So I quickly became aware that the elected national officials in Ghana were getting pressured by people in their constituency about keeping or expanding CBE. And I thought that was very interesting. I've really not experienced that in other countries I've worked in, and I've worked in Africa 25 years.
The complementary basic education is pushing a lot of our students into the junior high schools who have joined in the mainstream, and they are transiting, a lot of them are transiting into the senior high school level. And that is the impact I feel the CBE has made very greatly on the educational delivery of the northern region.
Now I can read, speak perfectly, and translate things in English to my local language. It has impacted me, and I've even built my confidence through CBE classes.
some of the parents, they are rushing to me that they see different from their children. They are so happy. So they are praying that those who brought these classes to the community should continue.
Ane de malaseme pa ane mambi Canada kwele na wana la. Oya zan kusa le piano ba de palo se kamanzi kusa la ba. Tibatonzini solomera wana kada kusa pa kamampu banye le ba mamiri.
Ba ya sa den ken de menye. Ba pai ba long ken be gun la. Ba isi ba ba zang ken bang bang be na panga gati ba ne be gun la. Manye le so msiele la.
The CBE people, is only 9 months that we used to train them in reading and then they listen. And with that 9 months, some were placed in P3, some P4, some P5. So when you go around to visit them in the class, when they put a book before them to read around, those pass through CBE class, they could read fluently more than those in normal school.
Kojo father brings him a new school bag. It is red in color. Kojo packs his bag for school.
In a village called Paripari in Karachi East District, I met a boy called Jonathan Nai. He's in Form 2, junior high school, Form 2 now. He did about 8 months of CBE. Then he went to the school, they put him in P5. UNICEF has even written a story about it. We put him in P5. Within 2-3 weeks, the teachers realized he was performing better than the children there. Then they moved him to P6. Within a month, they moved him again to Form 1.
Most of the application we are even receiving is from head teachers and pastors requesting CBE classes to be open in communities. In most of the communities, they have a lot of dropout. People who don't attend schools. Some go and they drop. But it's very, very hard for them to get them in. Even though they have capitation grants, free school uniform, free textbooks, they still have that problems in their communities. Chiefs are also receiving it. They call us, and then why? Oh, we have this community, they have your school. But why? Are you rejecting us? This community, they are benefiting. We hear some of your children are there and they are in Sunday school. We have a lot of children in this community who are not attending school. But why are you not looking at our faces? Or you are rejecting, you don't like us. So the chiefs are also calling in for CBE classes. So when we say that we have a lot of children in communities and people think that we exaggerate, as I speak, we still have about 1,000 of children sitting in the communities. And sometimes I feel sad when I hear the program is ending also because I see that it's CBE which can rescue them.
A father had 3 children. All of them were in the house. He didn't actually see why they must be in school. So when CBE came, we managed to get this man release one of his children who he himself felt was stubborn because his stay in the house was actually a headache to him. So he allowed this young guy to join the CBE class. After 3 weeks, this man himself told the other children that they must go to school. And we have this boy now being the SP of the Belemtanga Primary School.
Mami ya sida untang sakura o motekru pampa timan ba manya no yot ya ka untang sakura mana samu de tanami tena zia jine la ya ka untang la sakura nam da pe ningi de zia wala umbe o ko kama me ben ko mana nana untang la sakura zugo ga nam tenam tena zia ke nam yatema yatenamba ana untang la sakura zugo.
As the 5-year donor-supported CBE program comes to an end, the question of sustainability comes into focus.
Government of Ghana, acting through its agencies, prepares to take over the implementation and management of the program. This effort is led by the Ghana Education Service and will later be joined by the non-formal education division as well as a national service scheme.
Various agencies were involved in the CBE field. They've done a fantastic job of actually getting 248,000 students to be mainstreamed. It's a great accomplishment by anybody's standards. But we also understand that Ghana Education Service, under the Ministry of Education, run our schools. So it was important that they come on board and begin to learn about how other agencies did it. And invariably, they bring best practices that we may be a little bit found wanting in. There's going to be a role for CSOs and NGOs and a number of entities for a long time to come. However, we have to step up, as Ghana Education Service is doing, and really take the bulls by the horn and do whatever it takes. And with support from our development partners, I think we can do more.
Ghana must ensure the sustainability of this approach. And Ghana, as it moves beyond aid and seeks to achieve SDG 4, has to take this work forward. And I'm really pleased to see this year a twin-track approach with the Crown agents and our implementing partners working in 21 districts alongside the Ghana Education Service implementing directly in 14 districts. And that's a great achievement.
We're past the beginning, but we're not at the end of this challenge, and we'll continue to work with the government and other donors like DFID who have been an excellent partner on this issue.
We need to continue to work towards eliminating all those factors that bring about out-of-school phenomenon in the first place.
As I have been to school, I have learned a lot. I have learned how to write and also learned how to read. So CBE has really changed my life.
Adiza.